Okay, well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving some of your time to learn a little bit about the Bachelor of Theology program that we at Concordia Lutheran Seminary have been working hard to get ready for the church. This will be just a brief summary of where we stand right now, and I invite your questions as we go. Just raise your hands in the Zoom chat or in the Zoom, and we'll take your questions as we go. So the first thing, here we go, is just what the rationale is for this program. We've been doing Master's of Divinity training for prospective pastoral students since we began in the 80s. But we've been noticing more and more that there are candidates who don't have the academic credentials necessary to successfully apply for a Master of Divinity program. And yet we still value the high level of training that our church upholds for those who aspire to the pastoral office. So we kind of felt like there was a gap to bridge, between a bunch of really promising prospective students and this high level of training that we want to continue to secure for pastors in the church. So where things stand right now with this Bachelor of Theology program is that it's actually already cleared the first few hurdles. The Board of Regents has approved the program in principle, and they've tasked President Kramer, our president, with conducting feasibility studies specifically concerning faculty and financial projections. What that means is we've been kind of given a yellow light to proceed with caution. And what I'm going to share with you today is our current thinking about the program, and it's subject to change as the months scroll by. So the form of the program may be somewhat different than what I present tonight, but there's a reason we wanted to tell you about it now, which I'll get to near the end of the presentation. So in very broad strokes, this is what we're kind of imagining for the 6-year training track. It would be 2 degrees in 6 years. Your BTh, your Bachelor of Theology program, would be 3 years. The first would be um, largely off-site, at a university or college, wherever you live, or if you want to study online with through Athabasca or a similar kind of a program, you could do that. We'd like you to have about 30 total credit hours, which are listed out at the bottom. Just to give you a bit of a base, a nice broad academic base to build on when you come here. We'd like you to have your biblical language, which you can take through us. 6 credits in English, 3 credits in any math or science, 3 credits in any social science, and then 12 in anything else. And really, I've got a few listed here that could be good options for your other credits. But pretty much anything that would be interesting to you that you'd like to kind of pursue or look into, you could probably go ahead and do that with those extra 12 credits. After your first year of study, then we'd be ready to receive you here on our campus for the second and third years of the BTH program, where you'd learn exegetical theology, historical theology, the practice of ministry, systematic theology, and so forth. In your second year, your first year with us, you would take your other biblical language. So we're going to try and alternate which language we offer year by year. Incidentally, this fall, we're going to be offering Hebrew. So if any of you would like to take Hebrew with us, if you're in the Edmonton area, you could actually come and sit in the class live with Dr. Vieira. But if you are not able to be with us, you could still take the biblical languages remotely. We're going to try and make sure we set it up so that students from throughout the country could tune in and benefit from the classes. Anyway, year three and the first year of the MDiv program would be kind of normal programming here at the seminary. Um, there would be some cross-listed courses between the Bachelor of Theology and the Master of Divinity. So you'd have some BTH students sitting with MDiv students in the same class for that year three and year one of the MDiv. But then basically, once you get near the end of the whole training program, it's very much like our current MDiv program, where there's a year of internship, a vicarage in an LCC church in your second to last year. Then you'd come back from that vicarage and have one final year of courses with us as you prepare for graduation and God willing ordination. So that's kind of what we've conceived as what we're aiming at, what we're trying to work on. Any questions so far?
Well,
Okay,
I
we'll keep
was
going.
wondering about, like,
Yes.
it has credits in math or science, social science, and 12 in anything else. So would that be standard courses being offered at CLS, or do you
Okay.
imagine that this is going to be rotating year per year?
Okay, thank you for that question. Yeah, to be really clear, that first year is designed to be off campus, largely. I mean, if you want to go to Concordia or another Edmonton university, then you could come to our campus for the biblical language. But the other 24 credits would be delivered through another program anywhere in the country, even online. So we don't offer those classes at CLS, but we do value the diversity and the broad base of uh, academic inquiry that these kinds of programs and these kinds of credits would afford to a student who is coming on into our Bachelor of Theology program. Is that clear enough?
Yeah, I think so. Um, so you would imagine most of the students being off campus and then joining in online with Greek and Hebrew then? But
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
unless they're in the Edmonton area, then they could come to Greek or Hebrew.
okay.
yeah, for example,
And
we have one guy in the call who I know is already registered to go to Concordia University
Hmm.
next year, and we're hoping that he's going to be able to be in the class with us. Um, but others of you who don't live in Edmonton, you could still go to university wherever you are, and we'd be able to give you the biblical language for credit by distance learning.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to keep on moving on here. Um, so, as far as what it looks like to apply for the Bachelor of Theology program, again, our current thinking is that it would be pretty much the same as our MDiv program, except that instead of a bachelor's degree, we'd want a high school diploma. We would not require you to demonstrate your biblical language proficiency because we'd be delivering that to you in the classroom. And neither would we ask you to demonstrate your biblical or theological competency, which are normal requirements for MDiv application. And finally, also wouldn't ask you to prove that you've been an LCC member for 3 years. The idea is that if students came to us from other church bodies and were eager to grow into ministry in Lutheran Church Canada, that we would be expecting that during your 3 years of BTh studies, you'd be actively involved in congregational life in an LCC church in Edmonton. Um, Looking forward. So about the biblical languages, there are some options. Certainly, we would love it if you took them with us. It would get us a chance to build a bit of a relationship with you, even from your first year of BTH study. But if you would prefer to take them in a classroom at another university of your choice, that's fine. Then we just ask you to send us the transcripts once you're done. And you can also do self-study. We've had a lot of students that have successfully learned the languages by using the Zondervan Basics of Biblical Greek and Hebrew textbooks and workbooks. So you could look at that as well. I just want to say that Dr. Vieira, he's going to be teaching Hebrew, I mentioned in the fall, and he is open to the possibility of teaching it as an evening class. So that if any of you are in university next year and you want to take the language, we aren't trying to juggle a whole bunch of different timetables. So if the evenings can be clear, then we could have everybody in the classroom for the evening courses. I solicited your questions when I invited you to this call, and here are some of the things you asked, so I wanted to make sure I covered them. One person asked if there will be provision for distance or part-time learning. Not normally. The program is conceived and will be designed for full-time students. That said, we're always willing to consider requests for exceptions to our norms. And these would be entertained on a case-by-case basis. So if you feel like there's compelling reasons why we should work with you to provide distance learning for BTH year 2 or 3, have a conversation with us and make a request for an exemption, and we can entertain it. I can't promise we'd accept it, but we'd be certainly happy to have a conversation about it. The second question was about transfer credits for open studies year. So, if so, are there limitations on how many or how long ago they were completed? So the open studies year is actually designed, to give students the opportunity to learn a diverse array of material that can and should be transferred in once completed. So um, the short answer is yes, but I think what's behind this question is if you've already gone to university in the last little while and you have some credits, but not all of the credits needed for the BTH year one open studies year, can those be transferred in? Basically, we can accept credits that are going to be no older than 10 years old at your anticipated year of graduation. So let's say that you were going to start BTH year one in the fall this year. Um, that would mean that you'd be graduating from the BTH in the spring of 2029. Is that right? Am I right? If my math is right? So anything that you pursued for study in 2019 or later would be able to be transferred in. If you want to request advanced standing or exemptions for this, it's the same as I said previously. So I got this bar of all your faces in my way. Um, we would like to see any post-secondary transcripts that you may have when you apply. So, if your credits are 12 years old and you finished a diploma in something at NATE or whatever it is, there's a lot of things there that are not ideal for transferring in, but we'd still love to see what your transcripts show so we can more adequately assess whether it makes sense to give you advanced standing or an exemption. Okay. Another question that you asked was, um, oh boy, I'm sorry, I got this. There we go. I have to keep on moving the bar of all the of all your faces. Will financial aid be available for BTH students that are preparing to take the MDiv with us? And will it be at the same level as regular MDiv students? I know some of the students that we are thinking of for this BTH program already have children and are single breadwinners for their family. We plan to include BTH students in our financial aid processes to help them as much as we can, assuming that their intention is to complete the MDiv as well. So basically, it's a yes. We would love to be able to help BTH students that are lined up for the MDiv. This aid would be limited to courses that CLS offers. So the exception there is during your open studies year, whatever courses you take at whatever university you register at, we would not be able to offer financial aid for those courses. And the last question I think that you asked was about the open studies year. Will you also need to enroll at CLS in the BTH track while studying elsewhere? Answer to this is no, you won't, unless you plan on taking the biblical languages with us, in which case you would apply and enroll with us to take those language credits. So having said that, even though you don't have to register with us for your open studies year, we'd encourage you to consult with us about the classes you plan on taking to ensure that they fit the profile that we're recommending. Now, I already shared that with you on the video, but we'd still love to have a conversation with you about the kinds of courses that would be really helpful for you as you imagine serving in the church in the future. So why did we want to tell you all about this now when things are still kind of a bit nebulous and not super firm for this program? Is that we have a target of fall 2027 when we'd be able to receive second year BTH students. We're optimistic that the program will be feasible and will receive final board approval as early as this summer. But if any of you were really keen to get rolling on your training to be a pastor in LCC, then you could already begin looking at your open studies year starting this fall. Um, I do want to be clear that we can't promise that we're going to clear all the hurdles. It looks really promising. I think we'd be a bit surprised if we weren't able to offer BTH year two in 2027, but there's no guarantee. So if you go ahead and do an open studies year and we're not ready for the fall of 2027, please know that we're going to do everything we can to be ready as soon as we can after that. And then you can know you've already finished your open studies year for whenever we are able to actually receive you on campus for your second year of BTH uh, studies. Okay, we had one question a little earlier, but I'm not sure if you have other questions now. I'd love to entertain them if you do.
Yeah, I do have one question about the 6 credits in language for the open year. I'm not 100% certain I heard you right. Would the Hebrew course offered at CLS, would that be 3 or 6 credits?
Thank you. The Hebrew and Greek courses that we would offer would both be 6 credit courses. Typically, the biblical languages, when they're offered through university programming, are almost always 6 years for the introductory level. So we would be doing the
Six
same thing as a
credits,
lot of
yeah.
other schools do when we're teaching the biblical languages. In which case, you'd actually study all year long with us for Hebrew. You'd start in September and you'd end in April
Yeah.
with the Hebrew studies.
3 credits per semester, so six
Yeah.
credits for the year.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just have one question. Just with this, if this change goes through or whatever, was there still an option possibly like, for mature students to apply into seminary for the MDiv, or would they still have to get the Bachelor of Theology too first?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we do have provision for mature student status, and I think that that would still be a conversation that we could have. Typically, when a man gets to, I guess, the latter half of his working life, to spend so much time studying is, I mean, there's more of a cost, and maybe it's a little bit less appealing in terms of what they can offer after they're done studying. And certainly life experience also counts a lot towards what we consider when we're looking at the candidacy of somebody for the MDiv program. But those applications are always a case-by-case basis, and it's a conversation with our academic dean and and the admissions committee. Um, there's never a guarantee, but it's always a conversation we're willing to have.
Sure.
So, long story short, we would still entertain applications for mature student status. Um, Yeah, this would be another way of onboarding with us, this BTH program.
Okay, thank you.
President Kramer, did you want to say anything more about that?
Um, no, I think you covered that well. Yeah, there's certain age requirements for that, and certain amount of life experience that we would take into account.
Any other questions?
I was
Okay, we're
just going
hearing
to say
none.
something about the really quickly about the open studies year and the 12 credits of options that you can take. Um, those could be a lot of different things. You might have noticed drama was listed there, and you might have wondered why drama. Because often public speaking courses are offered by the drama department, and public speaking would be an excellent course to take for preparation for preaching and for other public speaking you may do. Um, Also, philosophy, I don't think was on the list, but that's another good um, option. These are 12 credits that you can really play with and see what interests you and see what might prepare you for service in God's church.
Thank you. Yeah, one of my favorite options for the 12 credits might be linguistics. If you take a linguistics course, then you're going to be better equipped, I think, to study the biblical languages and whatever other languages you might want to access as well. So there's probably not really a bad choice. Maybe there would be some bad choices, but it would be hard to pick a bad option. If it was interesting to you and it kind of fit with what you're passionate about, what you care about in life, it's probably a good option to take. Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, I think I'll stop sharing here, and we'll stop recording as well.